I encourage us to work together. You as a property owner, you as a resident, you as a renter, us as public safety. I'm representing the fire department, but law enforcement, Department of Emergency Management, we need to work together. There are several initiatives or programs that'll help you as a property owner and also then eventually help us. As a government agency, I can't come onto your property to do vegetation management, to do things for you unless you give us permission. So we need to find some type of shared cooperation, how we're going to work together. So I'm going to talk about what you can do as a property owner, independent of government agencies, and then what we can do together. So there's several things here in Sonoma County that are available to you. There is the free County of Sonoma chipper service, which you can sign up for. That allows you to offset some of your costs. You still need to cut your vegetation, do your defensible space, but if you want to manage vegetation along your driveway, near your house, make your property safer, the County of Sonoma will offer 2 hours of free chipping. I believe you can also sign up for multiple times. The important factor here, though, is chips are going to be left on site. They're not going to haul chips away. There's also an ability, you can call your fire department, you can call CAL FIRE, Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, or maybe you live in a city and ask them to come over and give you a defensible space inspection or talk to you about what you can do to make your house survive a wildfire. And it's going to go back to defensible space and structural ignitability. There's laws for defensible space, how a building to build is really for new construction only, but a firefighter can give you advice on how to manage your vegetation and maybe also some other advice on how your building is built. Fire departments enforce or inspect for the laws. So if there's no law about how your house is built or no law about how your vegetation is managed, let's say for example 500 feet from your structure, we're providing an opinion, an assessment. There's also private companies out there that'll also come to your house and do an assessment, maybe not so much an inspection, but an assessment. So it can be confusing, but there's what the law requires. There's what some private vendors, some contractors that are very knowledgeable can provide you an opinion on. There's also then what your insurance company wants. But the two big things is defensible space, building construction, how you get that information, how you can develop a plan of how you're going to mitigate or reduce wildfire intensity. And remember, it goes back to reducing the ember production and keeping a fire on the surface of the earth. So those are several initiatives here in Sonoma County. There's also a tremendous amount of resources online. Probably the most prominent, well-known one is CAL FIRE, Ready for Wildfire. It has everything from before the fire, during the fire, and after the fire. It's good general information, but maybe not site-specific for your property. And we're always going to prioritize the work around your house first, called defensible space, before we become concerned or worry more about 100 feet, 300 feet from your house. So large properties are in a different situation than dense neighborhoods, but it all goes back to those same principles, and those websites will provide you information. There's also a variety of grants out there, and I'll classify the grants in two categories. Grants that a private landowner can get by themselves versus grants that multiple landowners need to come together, develop a plan, a community benefit type project. So there's very few grants that a private landowner can get. If you're in a forested area, there's a state program through CAL FIRE called CFIP, California Forest Improvement Program. There's also a federal program through USDA called the EQIP that'll benefit a private landowner. There's also a local service called After the Fire that has some funds available for a private landowner, but those are very limited. You're also going to need to talk to a forester, have a land management plan. It may trigger environmental review, CEQA compliance, or NEPA compliance. It's going to add complexity. There's much more or a larger amount, for certainly definitely more money, more funding available at the community benefit projects. So while they will occur on a private property, they're for community benefit. So this is the shaded fuel break on a ridgetop. This is a shaded fuel break right on an urban boundary. You partner with a fire agency or a resource conservation district or Fire Safe Sonoma, and you develop a project, develop a plan. You submit generally to CAL FIRE. There's also a County of Sonoma Vegetation Management Program grants. You can also submit, there's federal funding as well, but primarily it's CAL FIRE or the County of Sonoma grants. And you put a project together, it will trigger that same environmental review, most likely the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and then you're partnering with the fire department, partnering with another government agency to get vegetation management done. Remember, it's the same basic principles: keep the fire on the surface of the earth and reduce how quickly that fire burns from vegetation to vegetation, breaking up that continuity.